Do you feel like promotions keep evading you despite you're doing everything right as per the book? And now months are turning into years. Frustration is taking root. You feel stuck in your current role. Before giving up, you may want to know what you are or aren't doing and if there are other people or other factors at play. So in this video, I'm going to share with you mind games that could be withholding promotion opportunities from you and how to fix them once and for all for your next career move. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy, and this is where I discuss topics on matters leadership, professional growth, and career advancement. So if this is the kind of content that resonates with you, kindly consider subscribing and pressing the bell, and you will be notified every single week when I release a new video. It can be frustrating to find yourself involuntarily in the same position year in, year out, despite your hard work and qualifications. The concept of promotion in itself at work can be used as a manipulation tactic. And reason being, as humans, we love to be recognized. We love to be appreciated. We have that intrinsic need to feel important. So you find that mind games are an open secret within the organizational culture for most companies. No one talks about it, but specific people use it. So hopefully by the end of this video, you will be able to discern if you have subconsciously been a victim, what made you vulnerable, and how you can rise above it to the next level of your career. By the time you're applying for a promotion, you are subtly passing a message that you have understood your role well enough and you are ready to move on to a supervisory role. So depending on how the upper management views your track record and overall work ethic, your request may be honored, or your desire for career growth may be exploited as a way of controlling or manipulating you. Your leaders, your bosses, they may even justify themselves as wanting to reduce turnover rates in key critical positions like the one you occupy, or they just need to ensure high productivity in every department. So what happens when these needs do not go hand in hand with fair compensation and the genuine growth that you desire and deserve? Have your managers been making vague promises about future promotions, but in your heart of hearts, you can tell that they have no intention of following through? They're praising you for working hard, but they are omitting the specifics such that you are not sure, you're left unsure of what you're doing right or otherwise. Something to the tune of, "You're such a good worker. We are so happy to have you in this organization. And we have a few openings coming up soon in Department X or Department Y. And if you continue like this, you just might be up for consideration." So you find yourself constantly striving, doing extra work, crossing your fingers, hoping that you will be rewarded. Think of the moments when you exceed expectations in certain given tasks. Everybody can see that were it not for you being in that department, there was going to be serious trouble ahead. Everyone is patting you on the back. Everybody is clapping for you. But as far as your boss is concerned, you're just doing your job. So if your manager does not give you constructive criticism, improvement is going to be an uphill battle, which means that you will be trying so hard without a clear path to navigate. Or every time you feel like you've met the requirements for promotion, the criteria changes, the target evolves such that you're always falling short of the qualifications. Before, maybe in the past, you needed to have done at least 5 years, just an example. But when you get there, you now need to have 5 years plus an extra certification in X. So you find yourself in a cycle of perpetual effort with no payoff. Have you ever felt that strong need to take on more responsibilities? You believe that sacrificing your personal time is going to lead to a promotion. So you come in earlier than usual. You leave the office later than everybody else. And much as your bosses can see your commitment, they still struggle if you push back on any of their demands and subconsciously threaten you with loss of promotion opportunities. And then you start getting these subtle hints like you need to prove yourself more. The position that you're eyeing is not ready for this version of you. Here is a person who's in a position to give you the metrics for you to get to that version that they need. These are comments that can eat into your confidence, make you question whether you are good enough for that promotion or not. You've been delivering results, sometimes even exceeding expectations up until now. So the above statement becomes a manipulation tactic the moment you find yourself seeking validation. You're trying to remain compliant. You're second guessing yourself. If you feel like a carrot is being dangled at you, such that you have to become someone else, sometimes even against your personal ethics, take a step back. This is a good time to invite your sixth sense to the table for a cup of coffee. You do not want to find yourself constantly chasing an unattainable goal. Have you ever felt like your manager is giving you mixed signals about your capabilities? On one end, you are good enough to be promoted, but the tasks that you are given do not add up with the qualifications that you have. You need a challenge. You need something that is going to make you grow, high impact projects, but instead you're stuck. You find yourself stuck with your daily routine, which by now you can even do with your eyes closed. So this is the kind of inconsistency that creates confusion about your real standing in the organization, stopping you from being assertive in asking to be considered for a promotion. And then there's also that case of deliberate exclusion. Have you been deliberately excluded from key career advancing opportunities since you started showing interest in being promoted? What this does is it's going to prevent you from gaining visibility, being in front of key decision makers or people who may notice or be interested in your potential. Is your sense of ambition becoming a problem for your higher ups? These are questions you want to ask yourself, because there's danger in managers playing favorites, because on one hand, you will not have an outlet to position yourself for consideration, and the select few who are invited will have more exposure, giving them an upper hand despite the fact that you have similar qualifications. And we all have that need to feel valued, to feel respected by our peers, by our colleagues, by our superiors, by our subordinates. And then there's also the case of emotional manipulation, where your immediate boss highlights all the sacrifices that he or she has had to make to get you to where you are professionally. And now you're considering just moving on just like that. It's more like you owe them more than gratitude for holding your hand. Guilt tripping can make you feel like wanting more growth for yourself is actually selfish or ungrateful on your part. And I'm a strong believer that when we stop growing, we are going to start stagnating. And this is where frustration takes root. So you just want to ask yourself, how deep-rooted are office politics within your organization? These are moments when you want to separate yourself from your emotions totally and ask yourself, what would be the underlying reasons for withholding a promotion from you? Would it be a case of your manager's insecurity? Your boss or someone in upper management could be feeling a bit insecure about your competence and the rate at which you are growing within the organization. There's that genuine fear that you could potentially outshine them and become a threat to their job security. So deliberately keeping you at a lower position serves as a self-preservation code to them. The lesser the visibility you gain, the lesser the power you'll have to challenge their status within the organization. Or it could also be a retention strategy. Sometimes the motive is purely economical. Purely economic. Your bosses could be withholding promotions from you to keep you a good worker at a lower maintenance cost. So if promoting you is going to mean losing a highly skilled team member to a more demanding role or moving you to a significantly higher tax bracket, a lot of consideration might come into play before they make that concrete decision. The reason being, the organizations need to maintain productivity without added costs. Would you say that you work in a toxic work environment or you're under a toxic work culture? These are just the more unfortunate cases where promotions can be withheld from specific individuals as a way of asserting dominance and reminding everyone of their place within the organization. And the plan here, for the most part, is to use career advancement as a bargaining chip to get you to work harder, to please your boss so you can get promoted, or even make you accept difficult working conditions without asking questions. There's a toll on your mental strength that comes with being passed over for a promotion. those moments when you start doubting your capabilities, you're second guessing yourself. And in fact, you're second guessing your every move within the organization. Your anxiety levels start picking up and they're literally going over the roof. And then you find that you're not as motivated as you used to be before. Who's looking anyway? Are they even aware of the sacrifice that you've had to make to be a top performer in that organization? So what does this do to your confidence levels? What does this do to your self-esteem? What are you supposed to do in circumstances like this? Assuming that you've been documenting all your achievements, both big and small, within and outside of your organization, and you're aware of your value. You have requested and had one-on-one meetings with management a few times now to seek clarity on your blind spots. You've dug a little deeper. You've asked direct questions and the expectations from you, and nothing fruitful has come out of these meetings. You've been seeking mentorship and coaching outside of your immediate work environment, literally growing at a personal level. Now you have sufficient feedback from your peers and other members within the organization who can attest to your positive evolution. You have what it takes to be promoted. You are ready. This might just be the time to have that difficult conversation with yourself. Will working in this organization be beneficial to you in the long run or not? If you are offered opportunities elsewhere, would you be willing to take them? Would your future self be grateful to your present self if you did nothing about your current situation? At what point do you align with your conscience that it's okay to seek opportunities elsewhere? You want to adopt proactive strategies to either address your current predicament or step outside for opportunities that are going to value your skill set and ambition. For some people, that one-on-one meeting with your boss is enough to settle the matter and just change your situation. But what happens when this is not the case for you? There are obvious pointers, obvious signs that show that it is time to look elsewhere. How you react to these pointers is going to be the deciding factor to the next level of your career. Does the organization that you work for value genuine career progression? And this is a question of transparency. Do you get straightforward, unbiased answers from your bosses on how to advance professionally? For as long as you feel left in the dark about this, preparation is going to be compromised, leaving you in that guessing zone with no time span on how to plan ahead. And in this case, it's ideal to consider your other options. Is your sense of ambition met with discouragement, compliments, and feedback that is meant to keep you in your place instead of giving you, wings to fly? The subtle criticism, suggestions that you're not ready, but no one is willing to help you get ready for the position that you want. It's possible that your growth is viewed as a threat, which can lead to you stagnating in the same role year in, year out, that case of zero grazing. So you're safer widening your spectrum now, or maybe you're just consistently overlooked despite your qualifications. You have this track record of serving as an A+ performer. You always meet and exceed expectations. You've been promised promotions one too many times with no one following through, and there's no legitimate reason why you've not been promoted up until now. If it's a case of favoritism, change may not come as soon as you may want, as soon as you wish. You might as well just think of your exit strategy. Are there toxic traits within the organization threatening your mental and emotional wellness? For example, just the mind games that we were talking about, blackmail, guilt tripping, clear open threats. And if this is coupled with little to no growth opportunities for you and your colleagues, no in-house trainings, no incentives to motivate you to be more for yourself and also for the organization, there's a possibility that it might not change soon. So you have to be the one to change. You have to be the one to move. And the plan here is to find a work environment where you can genuinely thrive. Then proactively start putting systems in place where this can happen swiftly. Here is where networking within or outside of your department, outside of your organization comes in handy. Are there like-minded groups, like-minded people that you can join, even online, to orient you in a favorable direction? And then you do a personal SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Opportunities? Where will you be most successful, especially from these networking groups, and the threats that you may face along the way? Then cast your net far and wide before handing in your resignation letter. This is a case of proper planning. If you received value from this video and you're probably still unsure if it's time for you to move on to the next level, I made a video on 7 signs that it's time to pivot. Check it out here. It might just put some of your questions to rest. Also consider subscribing for more insights on workplace dynamic. Thank you so much for your company, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye.